I think sometimes in sports, we find that one athlete who it almost becomes like a story. And it's famously documented. The more the media gets immersed into sports, the more we find out about these guys playing through unbelievable injuries, playing through stuff we couldn't even fathom or imagine. I step on a Lego and I'm done for the day, or you bust your toe on a dining room table and you're done for the day. So it gives you perspective. And I know that stepping on a Lego sounds hilarious, but it gives you perspective. You have athletes like Klay Thompson shooting 2 free throws in the NBA Finals after tearing his ACL. Tiger Woods playing through an unbelievable injury, ACL and leg, in the 2008 US Open. Ronnie Lott, a famous safety for the 49ers, getting his finger crushed and amputated and going back into the game. Phillip Rivers playing through a torn ACL against the Patriots in the playoffs. You have recent examples, Joel Embiid playing through an orbital fracture, Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum going through certain injuries in game 3 against the Miami Heat, stuff like that we can't get enough of. And it's those kinds of stories that inspire. You go on like the flu game with Michael Jordan, gets famously documented in a Netflix series. And we ended up finding out it was food poisoning. But the way Michael Jordan carried himself is there's no way you can keep me off the field. There's no way you can keep me off the court. I have to do this type thing. And that's what I think makes this specific Grand Slam title for an Nadal special. And this is very rare for this podcast to be talking about tennis. But if you don't know, I played tennis for 9 years and I love it. I love watching the Grand Slams. I love watching the US Open, Wimbledon, love watching the Roland Garros. I love watching it all. It's so much fun. Have so many fond memories sitting on the couch during the summertime watching Wimbledon with my brother. So I got a chance to watch Nadal fought an incredible semifinal, fought Djokovic in the quarterfinal, and then played a great match against Rude in the final. It was straight sets. It was a phenomenal match by Nadal. The King of Clay gets his 14th Grand Slam title in the French Open alone. That's just 14 in one single tournament. He has 22 overall. And then when Djokovic won the Wimbledon, it was 20, 20, and 20. So the big three, as we have declared it, there's who was going to get that separation. And I don't think many believe Nadal had it left in the tank. He's 36. He's the oldest champion in the French Open history. And I don't know if he's the oldest in Grand Slam history, but I have some tennis guys that'll obviously keep me updated on that for sure. But I wanted to talk about, and it really inspired me in a way. So what Nadal was going through this entire tournament, and is what he's been going through for a while, is this chronic foot pain and this big nerve injury, from what I've read, that he has to get constant injections into his foot to just numb it, to just keep the pain out. It is unbearable in that way. So you have to be able to basically play through an entire tennis match that requires such precise footwork, such precise movement for each shot, and you don't really feel it. So the amount of focus that it takes to be able to kind of get that together and that muscle memory, it's really impressive that I was able to not only take it through straight sets, but be able to deal with that kind of weird, odd sensation at such a high level. These are serious players. These are the best players in the world. He took down arguably the best player in the world in the quarterfinal with Djokovic. And here's why I think it's so important for Nadal. That separation, he is halfway to a calendar Grand Slam, and we do not know if he's going to be able to do it. It's unfortunate. He said in his press conference that his future is uncertain, but he's going to find out. I think he's going to a specialist soon to determine what's the next step for him, but it's been a chronic thing for him. It's insane. And why I think it's the most important and why I think it separates him is because it tells a story. And at his age, too, a lot of people are going to be talking about in 10 years when they stack up everybody, they stack up Djokovic's career, who he could go for a much longer time. But they're going to look at this. And while Federer's injured, he's been dealing with knee injury, while Djokovic has had the situation with the Australian Open, and he just lost to Nadal in the French Open quarterfinal, there is going to be that conversation about, well, hey, which title sounds the most fascinating? What tells the coolest, what tells the brightest story? What inspires that next tennis player? Well, Nadal played through chronic foot pain, got injections constantly, and won the French Open at 36. Those kind of stories. Now, it's not football. It's not basketball. So does it get a Netflix documentary? don't know. There's a serious tennis audience, but you're not going to see Netflix going to make The Last Dance for Nadal. But in a way, it probably was. And for that kind of send off, that potential bowing out, playing through that unbelievable pain, playing through that numbness, playing through that odd sensation, that is lined up there. Flu game, torn ACL, broken leg, that kind of stuff. It's a whole nerve that you're shutting down, that you're having to be able to go through. It's incredible. And it's an inspiring story. Why I'm doing this now is because it was that impressive. I was reading about it for hours last night, and I was like, man, I got to talk about it. And when we look back on it, when the tennis analysts and when we talk about legacy, that's important. Fighting through that kind of injury. He could have retired in the first round. He could have bowed out and said, this is not my tournament. Let's rally for Wimbledon. Let's hope for that. This was his spot. The king of clay overcoming his own battle on a court where he's been most dominant his entire career. 14-0. Great. I think his record in the entire tournament of the French Open is 114-3. And he wouldn't let the foot injury take him down. I know that this is going to get super corny, but I think it's awesome that you're able to kind of go through that and that kind of battle. So that's to any athlete, really, is that your heroes can make it through this, so you can too, type stuff. And it's important. Like I said earlier, when they start stacking up these legacies, they're going to look to this title and they're going to go, what did Nadal have to overcome? What did Djokovic have to overcome in this tournament? Did he have an easy draw? What did Nadal have to overcome in his 22nd Grand Slam? Oh, we had to overcome one of the best players in the world, one of the rising stars in Ruud, Zverev. I totally botched that pronunciation, but he had to overcome that. He had to overcome a lot of things. A 3-hour match with Zverev, and he ended up going down, but he had to overcome a lot, personally and through players, which is why it's so important. So I think in the grand scheme of things, it tells a story. It marks a chapter in Nadal's legacy that shows he was willing to overcome a lot at such a very it almost feels like at the pinnacle, the very end of this career. We don't know if it's the end, but it very well could be. And that's what makes it important. And that's what makes it a story. So guys, sorry for the corniness or cheesiness. That might have been like a trailer type thing. Like this summer, Nadal overcomes injuries to yada yada. But you know what I mean. And I really love tennis, and it's really something that I love talking about. So if you want more of that content, subscribe below and comment and let me know. Obviously, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe or leave me a 5-star review. I've got a bunch of stuff planned. Thank you as always. This is just stuff I love to try out, especially in this time of sports when there's not much to talk about, so we can kind of branch out. Thank you guys as always. Have a great day. Take care.